Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for these times. In this week's episode, we continue our conversation with Abby Monroe. Well, and then what really drew you away from San Francisco was the Civic Orchestra.
Yeah. Well, I should say there was a pandemic in 2020, which is when I finished my bachelor's degree, and like up until that point, I was like, I'm gonna be done with school. I'm getting gigs and events and opportunities in San Francisco. I'm gonna be good. Just finishing up living here, it'll be fine. And then there was a pandemic, and I up until that point, it's like it would take the world ending for me to feel like I ever wanted to go back to school. And then the world kind of ended a little bit. So
Yes.
I decided to go back and do my diploma. And at that time, I'd been asked to sub for a couple of concerts with E4TT, which was
Right.
really, really great. And it was nice to do. And I remember we did some recording sessions. Those were the first like two concerts that I had technically subbed for, were these cool
Live
recording
stream.
projects. Yeah, live streams, which like no one else was, well, I guess a lot of people were doing, but like these were like productions. I remember the Cassandra project with the
Oh, yeah.
projections, and you had the makeup and the costume on.
Right.
It's like
That's right.
this is
That was a big thing.
yeah, it was a lot more of a production than just like let me turn on my camera on my computer and play some box suites and put up my Venmo code and see if anybody will send me some money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I think that at a certain point when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I realized that playing in orchestra was, I mean, I didn't really have a strong preference for one particular thing. Like I was playing a lot of new music. I
Hmm.
remember like a lot of what I was doing was working with composers that I was in school with, like
Hmm.
playing music by students and local composers and chamber music every once in a while. But I always felt compelled to play in orchestra. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. And so when I had finished school, that was kind of the one thing that was missing, I think, from the freelance
Hmm.
lifestyle that I had sort of built in San Francisco. I wasn't really doing any orchestra playing, and I missed out on that. And I was about to finish my diploma in 2021. I had just kind of on a whim sent in a recording to this training orchestra program, and I didn't really expect much of it. I had been like set on I'm going to stay here, freelance, Bay Area. That's it. And then the point that I was finishing my diploma, I had already been asked to join E4TT like as the cellist.
Right.
And
That's
I
right.
was really excited about that because it was the first like position that I was getting. Like I could, when people ask where do you play, what group do you play with, like that could be my answer. It was nice to have an answer and say like, oh, I'm in this group, not just like, oh, well, I'm here and there, and
Yeah.
weddings and events. Like I had an answer, and it was the day that we took the publicity photos. Like we went to Alameda and took the group shots, and like
Yep.
that day I went back into San Francisco and I checked my email and I had like an acceptance for the orchestra.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know what to do because we had just taken all of these photos. Like I think it already been announced that I was in the group. I was
Huh.
like, I really want to play an orchestra. I really want to do this. And like it was a really cool opportunity. Like I was going to be playing in the symphony hall in Chicago, and it's just like hard to turn that down. So that we worked it out and
Yep.
was able to do both. And I was kind of really like truly back and forth 50-50 in that first year that I was in Chicago.
Yep. First year or two, in fact, you were
Yeah,
you were
it
back
was
and forth a
too.
lot. It just towards the end was when you were there more. No, you were really very professional and transparent and brought it up really fast and said, that you were committed to us. What should you do? What should we do? So you were great.
Oh,
And
it's
we
good.
were able to work it out.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that we were, because I'm like, I was really excited. I had these two very different opportunities to play with these groups. It's really like apples and oranges trying to decide on which one to pick. But
Yeah, well,
I
but you really wanted to be an orchestral player, so that was the place to follow your heart. So I'm glad we were able to work it out.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's very, very appreciated. Even still.
Yeah, no, we enjoyed playing with you. But this actually leads to the next question, which is tell us about playing with E4TT, about the music with E4TT. Anything sticks out or you want to talk about?
It's been a great opportunity to play music that I would have never played in any context otherwise. My life is a lot of orchestra, like big symphonic works. Every
Hmm.
once in a while I get to play chamber music, and but it's not every every day that I get to play music by underrepresented composers, or there's even a good amount of music that I played with E4TT for solo cello
Hmm.
that I would have never known about. Like, I think, oh gosh, the first concert where it was actually the cellist and it was like a live performance, and it was in San Francisco, and you'd given me the program maybe 4 months before, something like that. And there was the Coleridge Taylor Perkinson
Yep,
Lamentations.
yep,
And
big
I,
piece.
yeah, it was such a difficult piece to learn. And I remember at that point, I got the program and I had maybe like one cello lesson left in school, like
Oof.
one lesson, and then I was just on my own after that. And it was the first piece of music in my career, I guess, or my life really, that I I didn't have a teacher there every week to give me suggestions. I showed it to Jennifer one time. I was like, this is what I've got. This is my first piece out in the real world. And she's like, good luck.
It
Yeah.
is a major, major piece. I mean, as I
Yeah.
recall, Brennan suggested that you would do a great job and that I should offer it to you, and I showed it to you, and you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a doozy. And I'm so glad that I got to play it, because now I can bring it out for other performances. But at the time it was a beast. And I remember at that summer I had just moved into a new apartment in San Francisco. It was before I knew I was moving out of town.
Right.
And so one of my best friends and I, who had lived together for several years, she and I had moved into a new apartment, and she was used to hearing me practice because we'd lived together like since Interlochen, basically, like in high school. And we had moved in with this girl who was, she's just she had a day job. She worked like a 9 to 5, and we told her, like, I'm a classical musician. I play the cello. I have to practice at home during the day. I know you work from home sometimes. Is that going to be okay? And she's like, oh yeah, of course. I love the cello. That sounds great. And
Little did she know.
yeah, and I was like, that's great. And every day I was like scraping through this piece in my room, trying to learn it. And then, like, on top of that, a lot of the music that we played had a lot of extended techniques for the cello, so like literal scraping sometimes. And every day I was like, I hope this is what you realized you signed up for. And she was kind of like, okay, but this concert's when?
It wasn't like a Bach air on the G string or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's what she was expecting. But yeah, it was I had a great time playing with D4TT. Like I said, it was a lot of music that I wouldn't encounter otherwise in any other facet of playing anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the piece that really stood out to me. And of course, it was like the first piece that I was playing as a member of the group. So I was like, I really need to do a good job on this. So I was practicing it every day, and it was the first piece that I couldn't just like take to a teacher every week and ask for advice on. So it
Right.
was especially like, I've got to work through this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. Instrumentalists often, once they're done, they don't continue, once they're done with school, they don't keep taking lessons. Singers, because our instruments inside us, we keep taking lessons, we keep coaching, you know, maybe we do less as we're professional or as we're touring, but somehow it doesn't seem to be accepted in the same way for instrumentalists. They're supposed to be fully formed and off they go, which I
Yeah.
think is probably scary.
It is a little bit scary. I mean, and I think at a certain point, harder to find people to go to who are like so much further on in their career than you, especially if you don't live in a place with like a major conservatory or major orchestra, to find people they're just so much more experienced than you can go to and say, I could really use a mentor for this. A
Yeah,
lot of the times it's just like friends that you have, or colleagues, people that are kind of nebulously in the same place as you, trying to figure it out, trying to
right,
freelance or get a job. So it's,
right.
yeah, harder to find mentors as you develop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for listening to For Good Measure, and a special thank you to our guest, Abby Monroe, for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button, and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at www.e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible by grants from the California Arts Council, the San Francisco Arts Commission, Grants for the Arts, and generous donors like you. For Good Measure is produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times, and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to co-producer and audio engineer Stephanie M. Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts, and tune in next week for Good Measure.